Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're here because today's story isn't just another headline about a political summit, it's something far more profound. Right now, as you watch this video, world leaders from across the global south are gathering in the vibrant city of Rio de Janeiro for the annual BRICS Summit. But make no mistake, this year's meeting isn't just about handshakes, photo ops, or scripted speeches. No, this summit marks the dawn of a geopolitical earthquake, a quiet but irreversible shift that could soon rewrite the world order. And at the heart of it all, Southeast Asia. Yes, Southeast Asia, long viewed as a bystander in global power plays, is now moving decisively, positioning itself as a key player in this tectonic shift. And here's the critical question: why? What's driving Southeast Asia to align itself with the BRICS bloc and, more broadly, with the global south? Well, there are two powerful reasons behind this dramatic pivot. Two strategic lifelines that promise Southeast Asia long-term peace, prosperity, and above all else, sovereignty. In just a moment, I'll reveal exactly what those two reasons are. But first, let's rewind for a moment and understand what's really happening here. But BRICS isn't just about money. There's also strategy involved. Southeast Asian nations are caught in the crossfire of growing tensions between the United States and China, two giants locked in economic, technological, and even military rivalry. What BRICS offers is something uniquely attractive: cooperative multipolarity. That means engaging with multiple global powers, without being trapped in a binary choice between East and West. The United States doesn't like it. Washington has always preferred nations to pick a side, but Southeast Asia refuses to be cornered. BRICS offers a middle path, a space where nations can cooperate without being forced into a new Cold War. For Southeast Asia, this isn't just about economics or short-term gain. It's part of a deeper movement, South-South cooperation. This is about nations of the global south, historically sidelined and silenced, coming together to amplify their voices on the world stage. It's about standing firm, refusing to be pawns in someone else's geopolitical chess game. Countries like Vietnam and the Philippines don't want to be forced into a showdown between Washington and Beijing, especially amid tensions over Taiwan or the South China Sea. They want options, they want sovereignty, and BRICS offers exactly that. Of course, this shift isn't without challenges. Some Southeast Asian nations remain skeptical, wary of BRICS's growing influence, especially due to Beijing's dominant role in the bloc. The South China Sea remains a flashpoint. Vietnam and the Philippines both have ongoing disputes with China. The idea of giving Beijing more leverage, through BRICS, worries many policymakers. Then there's ASEAN unity. For decades, ASEAN has been the region's diplomatic cornerstone, but by engaging BRICS individually, countries like Malaysia risk fracturing that cohesion. Malaysia, as this year's ASEAN chair, is already walking a tightrope, inviting Russian President Vladimir Putin and other BRICS leaders to the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur later this year. That's a move likely to ruffle feathers among United States-aligned members like the Philippines. And, looming over all of this is a very large and very aggressive elephant: the United States. President Trump has already launched fierce criticism of BRICS. He has threatened 100% tariffs on BRICS nations if they attempt to create a shared currency or challenge the US dollar's supremacy. And let's not forget, just months ago, his administration imposed steep tariffs up to 49% on several ASEAN nations. If Southeast Asian nations deepen their ties to BRICS, they could face even harsher economic punishment from Washington, especially if Trump returns for a second term. ASEAN as a whole is unlikely to join BRICS outright anytime soon, but individual members will almost certainly continue to partner with the bloc, not to oppose the West but to protect themselves. Ultimately, this isn't about taking sides. It's about choosing sovereignty. It's about escaping the binary trap set by great powers and charting an independent course in an unpredictable world. And now, let's turn to the summit itself. The joint declaration that proves the global south is united on many critical issues, despite Western media's attempts to downplay it. Here are the key takeaways. First, full support for Palestine. The bloc called for a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. They demanded an immediate, unconditional ceasefire in Gaza and condemned Israeli military operations, the blockade of humanitarian aid, and the displacement of Palestinians. Second, condemnation of U.S. protectionism and Israeli strikes on Iran. The BRICS nations rejected unilateral tariffs, sanctions, and trade barriers, calling for urgent reforms to the WTO. They also criticized US and Israeli strikes on Iran. Third, support for Syria's sovereignty. BRICS demanded Israel's withdrawal from occupied Syrian territories and condemned terrorism and foreign interventions in Syria. Fourth, condemnation of Ukraine's attacks on Russian civilians. The bloc condemned Ukrainian strikes on Russian civilian infrastructure earlier this year, signaling solidarity with Moscow's position. Fifth, expansion of BRICS partnerships. Indonesia was officially welcomed as a full member, and countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand were recognized as key partners, marking a clear expansion of BRICS' influence in Southeast Asia. Here's the bottom line. Southeast Asia's engagement with BRICS isn't an act of defiance against the West. It's a strategic move for survival. It's about expanding options, about reclaiming sovereignty, about creating breathing room in a suffocatingly polarized world. The BRICS Summit in Rio marks a defining moment. The Global South is no longer sitting on the sidelines, and Southeast Asia is no longer content to be a passive player. They are stepping onto the field, ready to shape the future. If you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your support helps keep independent analysis alive. The world is changing. Stay informed, stay ahead. As BRICS continues to expand and assert its influence, the ripple effects on global trade could be profound. With member nations representing some of the world's fastest-growing economies, BRICS is poised to challenge the dominance of traditional economic blocs like the G7. We're already seeing the early stages, a push for trade in local currencies, discussions around a potential common currency, and new financial institutions that bypass Western-controlled systems. For many countries, especially in the Global South, this means more options, more bargaining power, and less dependency on the US dollar. But it's not just about economics. As trade patterns shift, so does the balance of power. Emerging economies could find themselves at the negotiating table with greater leverage, while established powers may need to adapt to a more multipolar world. The coming years will test whether BRICS can truly transform global trade, or if existing systems will prove too entrenched. One thing is clear, the rules of the game are changing, and everyone will need to rethink their strategies in this evolving landscape. Beyond trade and geopolitics, BRICS nations are rapidly becoming leaders in technology and innovation. China and India are already global giants in fields like artificial intelligence, green energy, and digital payments. Brazil is pioneering agricultural tech, while Russia is making strides in cybersecurity and aerospace. Even South Africa is emerging as a hub for fintech and mobile banking solutions. What sets BRICS apart is their collaborative approach to solving global challenges. Joint research initiatives, technology exchanges, and cross-border investments are fueling breakthroughs that go far beyond their borders. For example, BRICS-led projects in vaccine development and renewable energy have already had a worldwide impact, especially in regions often overlooked by more established powers. This spirit of innovation isn't just about catching up with the West, it's about creating new models that reflect the needs and realities of the Global South. By investing in homegrown solutions and sharing expertise, BRICS countries are shaping the next wave of global advancements. As technology becomes the new frontier of influence, the world will be watching to see how this coalition redefines what's possible. While BRICS is making headlines for economic and technological breakthroughs, there's another story unfolding, one that's about people, ideas, and cultural exchange. From film festivals to art exhibitions and education programs, BRICS nations are building bridges across continents. Bollywood films captivate audiences in Brazil and South Africa, while Russian literature and Chinese art inspire new generations in India and beyond. University partnerships and student exchanges are fostering a new wave of shared understanding, breaking down stereotypes and building friendships that last a lifetime. Even cuisine is on the move. Brazilian coffee shops in Shanghai, Indian restaurants in Moscow, and South African jazz in Rio all reflect the growing tapestry of BRICS influence. This cultural collaboration isn't just about soft power, it's about crafting a shared identity in a rapidly changing world. As BRICS nations celebrate their unique heritage while embracing each other's traditions, they're quietly reshaping global culture, making it more diverse, more inclusive, and more connected than ever before.